A narcissist fears only one thing: losing control. From the moment you stop allowing them to dictate your emotions, your reactions, your peace, and your sense of worth, you become their greatest threat. Narcissists survive by feeding off your uncertainty and your confusion. They thrive when you question yourself, when you chase their approval, and when you shrink your voice just to keep the peace. But the moment you stop playing their game, everything inside them begins to crumble, because they cannot rule a mind that has learned how to rise above manipulation. What truly terrifies a narcissist is someone who sees through them. They fear the person who is no longer fazed by their emotional storms. They fear the one who no longer takes the blame they try to shift. When you read their patterns, when you understand the cycle, when you stop internalizing their cruelty and start recognizing their insecurity, you become untouchable. You become the mirror that exposes their truth. Nothing shakes a narcissist more than a person who understands exactly what they are. The greatest fear of a narcissist is silence. Not the silent treatment that they use to punish you, but the silence of someone who is no longer emotionally invested. They fear the silence of a person who refuses to argue. They fear the silence of a person who no longer explains themselves. They fear the silence of someone who has stopped trying to win their approval. When you no longer react, you cut off the oxygen supply to their ego. They fear the day you stop responding, because that is the day you stop belonging to them. They fear boundaries, because boundaries expose their lack of power. When you say no, when you protect your peace, when you refuse to be emotionally available for their manipulation, they feel small. They fear people who are self-aware. They fear people who choose distance over drama. They fear people who walk away instead of begging for understanding. They fear the strength it takes to let go. They fear your ability to detach. Because once you detach, you break their chains. A narcissist fears a person who rebuilds themselves after the destruction they caused. They fear the survivor who learns, grows, heals, and rises stronger than before. They fear the version of you they cannot break anymore. Your healing is their downfall. Your confidence is their defeat. Your self-worth is their nightmare. They cannot handle the person who stands up again, not because of them, but in spite of them. They fear someone who realizes that the love they offered was not love, but control. They fear someone who recognizes that their affection was a strategy, their apologies were manipulation, and their attention was conditional. When you stop romanticizing the chaos and start understanding the psychology, you take back every weapon they used. Clarity destroys their influence. Knowledge destroys their illusions. Awareness destroys their power. They fear your independence more than your anger. When you stop relying on them emotionally, mentally, or spiritually, you rob them of the role they tried so hard to play in your life. When you rebuild your self-esteem without their validation, they lose the throne they placed themselves on. They fear the day they become irrelevant to you. They fear the day their opinions no longer matter. They fear the day you stop needing anything from them. A narcissist fears someone who walks away and does not look back. They fear the person who chooses peace over chaos, healing over pain, clarity over confusion. They fear the strength it takes to cut ties, to stop explaining, to stop fixing, to stop absorbing their emotional warfare. They fear losing the supply they believed they owned. And when you walk away, you don't just leave them, you take your power with you. You take your joy, your peace, your worth, your future. Everything they tried to break, you reclaim. The truth is this: narcissists fear people who stand in their truth. They fear people who know who they are. They fear people who choose themselves. They fear people who recognize their manipulation and refuse to be controlled. They fear the person who becomes emotionally untouchable. When you protect your peace, when you sharpen your awareness, when you rise into your strength, you become their greatest fear. You become the version of yourself they hoped you would never become. And once you become that version, calm, strong, healed, and self-aware, a narcissist will fear you forever. Because they cannot control a mind that has awakened. They cannot manipulate a heart that is healed. They cannot dominate a soul that has found its worth. You are no longer the victim in their story. You become the ending they never wanted. And that is what they fear the most.